Yeah, all right, how we doing? How's this? What's going on, everybody? What's going on with your boy, man? Let me see. Hey, man, look. Hey, we are live. Yeah, man. What's happening, boy? This your boy Isaac, aka the Iceman, one half of the Under No Conditions podcast. My guest, she's tied up taking care of some personal business at work. She got a few clients she had to finish up. So today we just gonna go right in it. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. I hope that your week is going as planned. If not, keep your feet down, keep your head up. Guess what? It does get better. Today, I just want to get right into it. I want to talk a little bit about how often do you become frustrated with yourself? Now, that might be a loaded question. However, in my personal experiences, prior to me understanding the importance of having emotional stability and emotional and being tactful in my emotional responses, I found myself often being frustrated with myself versus being frustrated with the things that go on around me. One of the things that I had to understand and I had to learn about who I was as an individual was this: if somebody has a problem, whether it's with somebody else or even if they had a problem with me, I had to understand one thing: that wasn't my problem. It is their problem. If they have a problem with me, that's their problem for them to figure out why they got a problem with me. In my past, what I used to do was make everybody's and other individuals' problems my problem, which created a whole emotional breakdown for myself. And I found out in the long haul, it wasn't healthy because I stayed frustrated at things that I can't control. Let's talk about that part: the things that I can't control. So I had to figure out, how can I go about not putting myself in a position for myself where I won't be frustrated at what other individuals do. And as I began to learn more about who I was as an individual, I found out that many of my own frustrations not only was from the fact that I was focusing on the wrong things and the wrong people. I had not honestly and directly made the changes in myself that I needed to make. However, in making those changes, I had to also learn that I can't be angry or mad at the individuals or the situations that I'm making the changes for. And I had to understand that I had to take myself out of a world of expectations. And what I mean by that, I had to learn how to not have expectations for individuals and meet people where they are. And what I learned in my own process was that people are going to give you what they're going to give you. And once I started to learn that, me dealing with people became much, much more easier because I had an opportunity to learn how to look at the situation and what I was really dealing with, and understanding that many people, even that I was associated with or I was around, lacked the skills that was necessary to manage their own emotions. So what happens is, if I'm lacking and I don't have the skills, the easiest thing for me to do is to focus on somebody else in terms, which means I do not have to be accountable for my actions if the other person reacts. And when that happens, now I can point the finger and I can blame you for my behavior and become the victim. So, what I had to learn how to do was develop a little more patience within myself, look at my strengths, and have a clear understanding and be accountable for my weaknesses. And that took a lot of practice, that took a lot of sitting still, that took a lot of coaching, that took a lot of listening, that took a lot of understanding. However, for me, I'm always like to put myself in a position where I don't care who I'm around, whether it's a 5 year old or an 80-year old. I want to be always in a position to learn something from somebody or from a situation. Because in this process, what I begin to learn about life, situational situations, and my belief system, which how I thought things were supposed to be, and the life that I thought that I wanted to live by for myself, I began to understand that I played 100% role in everything that happened to me. So that goes back to reevaluating how I thought, how I addressed, and how I attacked situation. Because what I may believe may be a figment of just my own belief system. That doesn't necessarily mean that that person that I'm dealing with has to believe the same thing that I believe. Second of all, when I'm in a situation and I'm watching somebody act unaccordingly, let's put it like this. I'm looking at a situation and I'm looking at somebody act out of character. For me, I begin to start to understand who am I to judge that person's acting out of character. What I'm learning to understand is that if that person is acting out of character at that moment, for whatever reason that it might be, they're lacking and they're in the need of something. And at that point, understanding that they don't have the tools. So now it allowed me to really look at the person that I needed to be and what I needed to become in these situations. Because a lot of times, what happens is, even in my own belief system, I always believe that individuals supposed to know. And what I found out was that everybody do not know. Regardless of what I think, regardless of how I think it's supposed to be, I always thought that individuals are supposed to know better. And a lot of times when you're around people and you see how they talk and you see how they act, you realize that they weren't taught. They don't know better. So they are surviving off their own belief and their own situation, how they was raised, what they were taught, when they were taught, and what they think that is best for them during that time. So once I started beginning to understand that and looking at it from a different lens, I started to get frustrated less, and I start looking at people. And when people act out, I just sit still. And what I found out for me is that even in the storm, guess what? I need to be quiet in that storm, because it really goes back to the belief system and how I think things are supposed to be in my life, and what I believe a person should be doing that doesn't believe that they believe what they should be doing. I'm going right back to it. And once I got a clear understanding of that, me dealing with people became really, really easy. You have people that get frustrated over things that they can't control. How about that? I'm frustrated over a situation that, guess what, I had total control over. However, I hadn't developed the emotional fortitude to lock in and understand the power that I had in dealing with this situation. So, because I'm not utilizing or taking a step back, I act out and I get frustrated and I get mad. And then later on that evening, after I calm down, I'm looking like a jackass. Let's look at it for what it is. I'm looking crazy in the face because I'm telling myself I know better. However, do I really know better? Because it kept happening. So when something keeps happening and the results start to deepen and they're not working out in the favor that you think that they're working out, sometimes it's not the other person. Sometimes it's you. And that goes along with having account, holding yourself accountable for your thoughts and your ideas, holding yourself accountable for what comes out your mouth, holding yourself accountable on why you get mad at certain situations. Because sometimes certain situations anger you because that situation has is reflected upon the person that you are. I said it. Sometimes you have to look at a situation, and if it angers you, right? In counseling and in psychology, we call that transference. So when somebody does something and you get frustrated and has a direct reflection, many times it's the one thing that you've done unconsciously or been doing to people unconsciously. And now when it happens to you, you don't like the way that it feels. And it really goes back to understanding how important it is that you change your thinking. Yes, maybe from ages 2 to 16, 17, or 18, the people that were in your life were responsible for grooming you. However, when you become of an adult, it becomes your responsibility. It is nobody else's responsibility how you act. You have to hold yourself accountable to your own actions. And that's very important. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of self-study. However, in that process, I can't shield myself from the everyday happenings of what's going on in the world, the workplace, where I'm shopping, where I'm eating. I can't control that. The only person that I can go in there and control is me. And second of all, I had to learn not to judge. I learned if I can identify, it put me in a position where I can continue to work on myself because I can identify with what's going on. So if I can identify, I can sit back and be like, man, that was once me. Now I'm looking through a lens at myself through another person and it looks ugly. And I don't like the way it looked. So that's how other people was looking at me. And guess what? I don't like the way that makes me feel. And this it becomes part of the process. It really becomes part of the maturity process. Your thought process can be a dangerous thing. What you believe can work for you or it can work against you. However, you have the power to make that choice. I have a saying I always tell my clients: no is necessary because yes is expensive. That's one. And two, I'm responsible for every reaction that I make a decision to react to. Not the person that I'm reacting to because of the transference or because I made a decision to allow them to make me act out of character. Because, be honest with you guys, nobody can make you act out of character but yourself. And you have to be responsible for that. So, getting back to the topic at hand, you have the power of not being frustrated with yourself. It's some things in your life that you're going to have to change about you. You're going to have to be really careful about what attracts you and what doesn't attract you. And you got to do some inside work. And guess what? It's not as hard as you think it is, because it's during that period, it's going to be a lonely period. It's going to be a period where you're going to need some peace. However, get you some help. Find you a good counselor that's not going to tell you what you want to hear, but tell you what you need to hear. You need to have people in your life that's going to check you, and have those people that's going to be in your life that's going to check you, allow them to teach you also. And when they teaching you, instead of you being combative and argumentative and think that you know it all, sit still and absorb it and look at it for what it is and say, okay, I am going to be all right. Because when you surround yourself with the right people, you're gonna have your highs, you're gonna have your lows, you're gonna have your good days, you're gonna have your bad days. However, building a foundation in this process is important. And I want to let you know that it is important. Yes, it is very, very important. So I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to come on here for a few minutes and just share my thoughts with you and just share some of my own experiences. I really, really appreciate everything. I appreciate all the views. My partner and I, Tiana White, myself, the Under No Conditions podcast. We truly appreciate everything that you guys have done for us. And I hope through our videos that maybe we have said something that may have given you an opportunity to change your life. And with that, I'm Isaac the Iceman Merton. If nobody told you that they love you today, I love you. Guess what? Oh, we're going to be back on the air at 2 o'clock in the morning, Saturday. It's gonna be Friday and the Saturday. Tiana and I, we're gonna do a nice pop-up. So if you guys are up and you don't have nothing to do, tune in to YouTube, 2 o'clock in the morning, Friday. Come check us out on the Under No Conditions podcast. Once again, if ain't nobody tell you they love you today, we love you guys today. Remember, you have control over you. You have the power to change. When you stay frustrated with yourself, you deny yourself the opportunity for happiness. And with that, I'm out. Peace.